Aloha guys, hope everyone's doing well. I'm going to give you a little video tutorial on the Mavic Air 2 and a few things that I think are helpful in the app. And again, it's just going to be a few tips and tricks, nothing major. A couple things that I think will be really helpful, especially if you don't know they're actually an option for you while you're flying. And again, I sent in my Mavic Air 2 to DJI for replacement the other day, and I just recorded my screen on my iPhone 11 Pro, and I figured I'd just kind of walk you through what I was kind of planning on showing you, and it's kind of a little bit harder to relive what I was thinking actually at that time, so I'm going to do my best right now and begin. So if we go to the beginning of the timeline where the footage is at, this is my screen recording up here. As you see, I got the home screen, and I got the DJI Fly App and the Go 4 app. So the Go 4 is for the Mavic 2 series, like the 2 Zoom and Pro and the Phantom 4 Pro. The Fly App is going to be more for the Mavic Mini and the Mavic Air 2. So we're going to be using the Fly App right now for the Mavic Air 2, which is what I was flying. And we're going to get into the app. Now, as you see with the Mavic Air 2 and the Fly App, we get different kinds of warnings. So this is geared more towards the beginner drone enthusiast. So it's a little bit more dummied down and kind of, just beginner user friendly. So we're going to get these warnings that pop up like this: aircraft in warning zone, Class D airspace, fly with caution. So not everyone has their 107 pilot's license and has the familiarity of the airspaces and where not to be and where to be. So this is just an extra visual for those who aren't familiar to maybe be a little bit more mindful and fly with caution. And with that being said, if you see, I got the Histogram Palette kind of blocking that. And I'm going to talk about this as well. So this is another thing that I think we should have enabled all the time while flying. It's essentially a graphical visual of our exposure. So with that being said too, we can move and reposition this thing around, as you see here. So I can X out of it in the actual histogram itself, or I can move it around as you saw. And with that, I'm going to see what's next in this. Another thing we want to do before each flight, ideally, is kind of check for the updates. So if you go over here into the upper right corner, you're going to see these 3 dots. You're going to click that, and then in the upper right corner, you're going to go to About, which is the About tab of the Fly app. And then we're going to go and we're going to check the aircraft firmware, the remote control firmware, and the Fly Safe database firmware. And we're going to check each one of these. I mean, again, you don't have to do this every time, but it's not a bad thing to do, so check that. Make sure we're up to date. I am on my drone, and we're going to continue on. So check for the updates in the About tab. That would be a number 1 little tip. And then we're going to make sure we have our memory card formatted and we have the right area of where we're capturing set to. So if we go into the Camera tab, which I'm going to do next, I'm sure. There we go. So we're going to go into the Camera tab. We're going to scroll down a little bit, and we're going to see the storage location. So right now we got an SD card, a micro SD card actually, and we got the internal storage of the remote controller, which is 8 gigabytes on the Mavic Air 2. So I'm going to have it set to the SD card, or the micro SD card I should say, to be more specific, but I'm not going to format it right now because I have files on here that I need because I'm sending this thing in the DJI, as I said. But at the same time, this is what I would want to do every time. So I come in, I get a fresh format, and even if I put a brand new memory card in that I just opened up and got from B&H or somewhere, I would put it in the drone and format that specific card to the device that I'm using. So it's the same thing with the camera. If I have a memory card and I put it in an Nikon D5, for example, I want to format that memory card in the D5 and kind of go from there. It's just a better way so they make sure and ensure that they communicate properly. So again, check where your storage is set to, whether you want it to the SD card or the internal storage, and also do a format each and every time, ideally, and download your card. And then after that, I would say, what else are we going to go to? I believe after that, I'm going to show you too where you can enable the histogram. So this is still in the camera settings, and I wish there was a histogram available in the Mini, and there's not, which is really weird. I was just flying my Mini today, and there's no histogram tab right here in the Fly app. So apparently, I don't know why they don't think you need one, but I think you do, especially with JPEG only, which the Mini does have. So right here, camera, the little tab, you can click it and enable the histogram palette. And as you see right now, my exposure is over a stop plus brightness at 1/400th. I'm in manual mode. And you see how the graph is actually staying to the right. So this is essentially the far right is all pure white, far left is pure black, midtones in the middle. And if you see here, this is essentially the sky area. So like this cloud probably right here, this lightest part of the area is probably this peak right here. So as you see, if I go and raise my shutter, or I put it in auto mode, I'm sorry, and then after that, if I go down exposure a little bit and you see there's more detail in the sky, the histogram will kind of shift a little bit more to the left. So again, you kind of want to hang out in the middle, ideally, especially if you're not shooting raw, but that can be a whole other tutorial to begin with. But this is something you should have, because if it's really bright out and you're flying and you can't really tell what your exposure is, just have this set. And if this is all set in the middle somewhere, like all this information is in the middle, you know you're pretty good. So as long as it's not far right or far left like this is, if you see this area to the left where it's dark, it's probably in this zone right here or in the shadow over here. So you can kind of actually read the histogram based on the image when you get good at what you're doing. So we're going to kind of continue on. And I believe I take off soon. It's kind of hard, as I said, to relive this little flight a few days later. Oh, I think I'm going to talk about the grid lines. Again, another thing that I think is a really nice visual is having the grid lines enabled. So this rule of third grid right here, this is what I always have on. It allows you to see if your horizon is level. So boom, and this is in camera, grid lines, and there we have it. So this is now good. If I'm flying and say I'm over the ocean, which I am a lot of times in Hawaii, for example, but anytime you fly and you're seeing a horizon, which you do always, I'm showing you right now, I believe that I can move this palette around so it's not getting in the way of my composition. But again, I can see where my exposure is at. I can see I'm entering, or I'm in a Class D airspace.
Please check it on the map.
And now I'm going to take off. And I can see, you know, my horizon looks perfectly level. But if my horizon isn't perfectly level, then what we can do is actually adjust the gimbal mid-air. So if I go into the control tab right here, and I go to recenter gimbal, if you see I got manual. So if I go and click on manual, now again, mind you, my horizon is level, but I'm going to go ahead and show you if it wasn't level, basically all you have to do. So if you hit this horizontal tab, they make it really simple here. They have the same thing in the Go 4 app, but it's a little different layout. So right here, if I go and do like plus 1.8, you see how the horizon tilts. So if it was tilted like that, I just go minus and it will bring it back. So if you're flying mid-flight and you see that you're getting really beautiful video or footage and you're not level horizon-wise, which is kind of sucky and you got to take care of that in post, which is a pain in the butt, just go into that About tab, or the control area, the control tab, and scroll down and go to recenter gimbal. And just use this horizontal plus minus to get you where you need to be, and then you X out of it over here. Boom. So I guess that's kind of my little tips for the day. I mean, it's essentially making sure that you format your memory card each and every time to that specific device. You take advantage and really like look into the histogram palette, and when you do bracket your images, use this. So a little recap. Essentially, the key component to this video was showing you guys the gimbal and being able to adjust this mid-flight, which a lot of people don't know, I'm surprised. So you can adjust the gimbal and your horizon very easily with a few clicks of a button. If you, again, go into the control area, which is right over here, you see I'm going over to the control side, and then I scroll down and I go to recenter gimbal, click on that, and then I can go into the manual mode and then just adjust with the plus and minus, and then I can get my horizon level and be super stoked and good to go, and my footage now looks super crisp and life is good. But you know, essentially it was just that, being aware that you can have this histogram visual enabled very easily, and you can move the palette around, just formatting your memory card, you know, each and every flight, just because it makes sense and it actually just provides a good clean file management. So to recap this video, essentially what I really wanted to share with you guys is that you can adjust your horizon and straighten your horizon while you're flying in the air very easily by just literally going to the control side right here. So as I said, we go to control, recenter gimbal, go to manual, and then use the plus and minus, and that's it. And then you X out of it and you're done. So knowing that you can actually straighten your horizon lines while you're in air very easily with a few clicks of a button, that's my key kind of tip and trick for this video. Essentially taking advantage and really kind of familiarizing yourself with the histogram palette, knowing that you can easily move this around as well. That's another tip. Also for, making sure you have your firmware up to date each and every time. And really, again, making sure that your memory card is formatted in that specific device, which can be really crucial because there's times where you can have corrupt footage or something when it, and you get all this footage and you're super stoked and everything's good, so you think, and then you get back and you realize there's some kind of corruption or something, and that could be because you were popping your SD card or micro SD card, I should say, into your Mavic Mini and Mavic Air and all over the place, and something may have happened in that process. So again, just keep one memory card for each drone and format every time. That would be my suggestion personally. I kind of think that's it. I mean, there really wasn't much to this video, as I said. Let me see when I scrubbed around. I guess be aware too that you can auto lock your exposure in auto mode, especially with the Mini. So that's kind of key. If you're shooting something like a hyperlapse or anything where you're forced to be in an auto mode, I would click this little lock and lock your exposure. So there's that. As you see right here, it's locked. And I think that's about it. I mean, I could show you too right here. I'm getting close to landing, and you're going to see in this Fly app that we're going to get a warning. So we're flying, we're right about to land, take a picture, and now I have manned aircraft detected nearby, fly with caution. So any of the new pilots out there, if you see this warning, scan the sky, do your little 10-degree increments, but really be mindful and look around and pay attention and get out of the, get out of the line of sight. If there's a plane coming or helicopter, just drop your altitude and get lower or come to the ground and land. So anyway, a little tip for me, and I hope that helps some people. And that's it for now. I'm going to do a little bit more intensive review, as I said, of the photography side, but right now I don't even have my drone. So when that comes back from DJI, which is hopefully, I believe, next week, they should get it on Tuesday in Cali, and then they're going to replace it for me. So I'll keep you posted with that, and aloha for now. See you guys. Bye.